Hello and welcome to Magatory96, and today we're going to talk about Overlord. Today's topic will be the man that Shalltear traumatized. However, despite the trauma he suffered, he managed to reach the realm of heroes, but even that wasn't enough when facing against Nazarick. Also, there is Princess Renner's boy toy, who despite being turned into a human dildo for his mistress' pleasure, did get a sorta happy end considering the fate of the kingdom, and him being of use to his beloved mistress. I'm of course talking about Brain and Climb. But before we start, here's the spoiler warning, as I will spoil a lot of things in this video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, I would highly recommend that you go and read the light novel, as it is an enjoyable read. For everyone else, let's start with who Brain is. Brain Anglos was a mercenary turned warrior of the Re-Estate Kingdom. Although initially somewhat arrogant after barely surviving an encounter with Nazarick's denizens, he was set on a path to becoming a far humbler man. When first introduced, Brain was shown to be arrogant and supremely confident in his skills. Part of this stemmed from his incredible talent with a sword, as he was so exceptional that he was able to match Gaz with very little preparation or training. He was convinced that since he had trained hard and obsessively to best his rival, there was no way he could lose to anyone. In his pursuit of becoming the strongest, Brain decided to abandon all except his dedication to the sword, and that anything was right as long as it would help him to defeat his rival. At this time, Brain was depicted to be somewhat amoral. While it was never shown or stated that he engaged in the more unsavory activities of the death-spreading brigade, he also didn't object to the horrible acts they perpetrated like murder, slavery, and assaulting women. His personality changed drastically after having a run-in with Shalltear. At first, he was confident in victory until Shalltear was able to not only avoid getting injured by his strongest technique, but managed to catch his sword with virtually no effort. Well, this terrified Brain, he demonstrated enough conviction and bravery to face her. However, it was after that point, along with some emasculine taunting from Shalltear, that he began to show a somewhat cowardly side to himself, as his first instinct after Shalltear caught his sword was to run. Soon after, when Shalltear was able to toy with him, he shook and fear became pure terror and fled from her with all of his might. Furthermore, he abandoned his underlings in the death-spreading brigade and escaped by himself, showing that he was reduced to a complete coward with no thought or care given them. Having his confidence completely crushed and getting a feel of what true terror is like, his attitude changed to one that he is completely depressed, hinting at suicidal tendencies. His talk with Gazev in his horrible state about how weak they were in the face of real power showed he had given in completely to despair and believed his life had no value at all. Gazev's inner monologue about how vast the world was and how obvious it should be that humans are weak indicates that Brain was so consumed by his desire to best Gazev and became the greatest swordsman, he never really took into account how big the world really was and that his devotion to his goal was naive and childish. He eventually does a complete overhaul after meeting Climb and Sebastian. Seeing how Sebas used his great power to protect others along with his polite and respectful attitude left a deep impression in Brain. After he saw how Climb was able to withstand killing intent that left Brain helpless, he learned what Climb had what he lacked and decided to take up the things he thought he didn't need, like friendship and honor. He changes to a much friendlier person who starts to think that strength is more than simply being skilled with a sword. His newfound spiritual strength allows him to face Shalltear again, this time without succumbing to his fear, and allowed him to cut through her fingernail that he couldn't even damage before. He also becomes grateful to Gazev and the two develop a deep friendship. As for his past, originally a farmer, Brain was gifted with what could only be described as a God-given talent in mastery of the sword. He was always believed himself to be the strongest fighter inside the kingdom, having never lost a fight before he entered the grand tournament to decide the king's guard captain. He easily fought his way to the final where he faced off against Gazev Stronov. A grand and close battle ensued between the two, but eventually he will taste his first defeat at the hand of Gazev. His win streak was shattered and his confidence as an unbeatable warrior took a hit. He then decided to do everything he could to become stronger, so he will truly become unbeatable. While he received many offers from nobles, he declined them and went on a journey to improve himself, meeting various people such as Rigid. At the same time, in order to make a living, he started working as a mercenary for the Death Spreden Brigade. After his rival Gazev had passed away in battle, Brain later took ownership of his former residence. It became a place where he started adopting specific orphan children under him to train them as the next successor after Gazev. As for his abilities, Brain is a genius fighting class compared to most of the melee-oriented combatants who have the fighter class as the starting class. While most learn martial arts that have been passed down through the ages, Brain has been developing his own unique martial arts. In the web novel, when he lost his humanity to Shalltear and got turned into a vampire, Brain would later step into the realm of heroes in terms of total levels thereafter. According to Maruyama, Gazev cannot win against someone of that level anymore. However, it does not mean that there are no prospect for victory for Gazev. At the time of his death, he had surpassed Gazev and reached the realm of heroes. Cocytus also estimated that the warrior's level was around 40 when he used his true nail clipper. Unknown to Brain, he possessed an innate talent which allowed him to increase his focus capacity. With the proper levels, this allowed him to activate true nail clipper which exceeds his level by 10. As for his relationship with Gazev, Brain used to see Gazev as his nemesis and rival due to his defeat at the hands of the kingdom's strongest warrior, wishing to overcome him to prove that he was the strongest. By the time that he met Shalltear, Brain thought that he was ready to confront Gazev and believed that when the two met each other, they would have a duel to the death. However, that all changed right after having his self-confidence and willpower crushed by Shalltear. Unlike how they met each other during the match together at the tournament, Brain confronted Gazev yet again, but this time he was a shadow of his past self. He had almost prompted himself to even think of wanting to commit suicide before Gazev stepped in to stop him from thinking that way. He comes later to respect Gazev for his actions and appreciates his kindness for helping him out in his time of need. He was greatly saddened by Gazev's death and states that he thought of him almost as a father figure. Moving on to Climb. Climb is a former bodyguard of Princess Renner of the Re Estate Kingdom. Owing to her for taking him in, he served the princess with unwavering loyalty, oblivious to her true nature. Even after his mistress violently betrayed the kingdom, he was tricked into defecting to the Sorcerer Kingdom with her. Climb is described as a hardworking and hot-blooded person and has pledged absolute allegiance to Princess Renner. For her sake, he trains tirelessly every day to improve his swordsmanship in order to repay her kindness. Because of the professional treatment Climb received from the princess, he has no close relationship with anyone other than Renner. However, he has proven himself to be quite loyal and determined to protect those he cares about. If needed be, he would even sacrifice his life for her. He is also rather naive and dense to Renner's true personality. As for his past, Climb lived in a Re estate during his childhood and encountered misfortune during his lifetime. His parents were gone for unknown reasons when Climb was very young. He became a street Urunchan, subsisting on whatever scraps of food he could find, living in an empty house where he was comfortable. Half-starved and close to death, he was later saved and taken in by the Golden Princess by chance as she passed by. As for his abilities, he tends to work hard relentlessly in order to become stronger, both to better serve Renner and to keep her safe from harm's way. Unfortunately, despite his constant training to become stronger, he has no special talent for the sword at all. He has a self-evaluating himself to be equivalent to a gold rank adventurer holding a respectable amount of strength. As for his relationship with Renner, Climb is extremely loyal to her and felt in debt to her for saving his life. He wants to become stronger so he can protect her and repay her kindness. But he is completely unaware of her psychopathic personality and is willing to do almost anything she asks him to do, no matter the danger to himself. Due to this blind admiration, his intense loyalty towards her, and Renner's attempts to better the kingdoms for the sake of the people, Climb has become completely blind in noticing her true psychopathic personality and sociopathic traits. Even when some of Renner's actions became suspicious, he deludes himself immediately, believing that his mistress had good reasons to do what she does. And due to Renner's skills in acting and manipulating him, Climb easily overlooks or ignores those strange actions done by the princess. Later, after the complete destruction of the Re-Estate Kingdom, Climb still continued to show immense loyalty and practically blind faith towards Renner and her words. A scene where he completely bought into Renner's act of being forced into working for the Sorcerer King due to wanting to survive, and after learning of how she swore fealty and loyalty to the Sorcerer King and became a demon, and hearing of her sadness at the prospect of living forever alone. Climb was more than willing also to swear fealty to the Sorcerer King and even agreed to become a demon as well after learning it was done by her in order to revive Climb and him wanting to stay by her side forever. As for his relationship with Brain, upon seeing that Climb survived after being exposed to Sebas's killing intent and finding his reason for why he could stand up, Brain started to hold some degree of respect towards him. Thanks to Climb, Brain went through a drastic change in his personality and restored his confidence that was once lost because of his encounter with Shalltear. Brain cares for Climb as he was willing to help him on many occasions. Climb believes Brain is the only one worthy enough to wield Razor Edge after Gazar had passed away. He sees Brain as someone who can potentially inherit Gazar's will. Compared to Gazar, Climb had gotten much closer to Brain. To Climb, who held Renner as the most important person in his heart, Brain was someone who came a close second. With this, I covered everything that I wanted to cover on Brain and Climb. And that'll be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more manga reviews and One Piece content. And until next time, take care.